Welcome to your Finnish news update. Hello and welcome. Today we're diving into the latest news in Finland that affects you and your community. Think of this as your one-stop shop, your news kiosk, if you will, for all things Suomi. Because let's be real, trying to navigate a new country is hard enough. Learning the language, understanding the customs, it can feel like you're in a real-life game of where in the world is Carmen Sandiego. Except in this version, you are Carmen Sandiego. And trust me, you don't want to be caught slipping when it comes to the news. Knowing what's going on can be the difference between a smooth transition and a whole bunch of avoidable headaches. Whether it's new policies that affect your visa status, local events where you can meet your neighbours, or just understanding the current political climate, we've got you covered. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's unpack this news together, shall we? All right, so first up, let's talk politics. I know, it can feel like watching paint dry sometimes, but trust me on this one. The Social Democrats are leading in the polls, giving the current government, led by the National Coalition Party, a run for their money. Now, why should you care? Well, because different parties, different priorities, right? The Social Democrats, they're generally seen as more, shall we say, welcoming when it comes to immigration policies. They're all about social support systems, making sure everyone has a fair shot, that kind of thing. So if they win the next election, we might see some changes in how Finland handles immigration, maybe even more support for newcomers like yourselves. Now, I'm not saying it's a guaranteed win for the Social Democrats, and even if they do win, who knows what policies will actually be implemented. Politics is a fickle beast, my friends. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on, because any changes in government could have a ripple effect on your lives. Think of it like this. The government is kind of like that landlord you never really see, but they control the heat, the water, the essentials. And depending on who's in charge, you might be living in a toasty sauna. Or, well, let's just say you better start knitting those Villa Paita woolen sweaters. Now, for some less cheerful news, there was recently a shooting incident in Tampere. And look, I know whenever we hear shooting, our minds can go to some dark places, especially with everything happening in the world right now. But before you start packing your bags and booking a one-way ticket back home, let's get some context. Details are still emerging, but it seems like an isolated incident and the authorities are on top of it. But it's a good reminder that no matter where you are in the world, even in a country as safe as Finland, bad things can happen. So what do? We stay vigilant, my friends. We look out for each other. We report any suspicious activity to the authorities, no matter how small it may seem. Because sometimes that phone call, that text message, it can make all the difference. And remember, you're not alone in this. Reach out to your communities, your neighbors, your friends. Because at the end of the day, we're stronger together, right? And that's what makes Finland and communities all around the world so special. Okay, enough with the heavy stuff for a minute. Let's talk about something beautiful, something magical. Get ready to be amazed, because the Northern Lights have been putting on a show for the ages across Finland. Imagine this, you're bundled up, hot chocolate in hand, gazing up at the night sky, and suddenly, bam, waves of green, purple, pink, all dancing across the sky like a celestial disco party. That's the Aurora Borealis, my friends. And it's not just a pretty light show, oh no. In Finnish folklore, the Northern Lights are said to be caused by a magical firefox, Rivontule, running across the sky, its tail painting the heavens with fire. Pretty cool, right? So if you haven't already, grab your warmest coat, find a spot away from the city lights and prepare to be mesmerized. Trust me, it's an experience you won't soon forget. And hey, maybe you'll even catch a glimpse of that mythical firefox. All right, back to business. Finland has just passed a new law, and it's one that has everyone talking, especially those of you who are immigrants or thinking about making Finland your new home. Here's the deal. This new law gives border guards the power to turn away third country migrants at the Russian border, even if they're seeking asylum. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hold up, Shaz, that doesn't sound very Finnish. And you'd be right. Finland has always been known for its compassion, its open-door policy. But things are changing, my friends. The political climate in Europe, it's getting more, shall we say, complicated. So, what does this new law mean for you? Well, if you're already a resident or a citizen, you're good. But if you're planning on coming to Finland, it just got a whole lot tougher. The process is more stringent, the requirements are stricter, and the chances of being turned away, well, they've just gone up. But don't lose hope just yet. There are still legal avenues available, resources you can tap into. Organizations like the Finnish Immigration Service and the Refugee Advice Center, they're there to help you navigate this new landscape. Now let's talk about activism, Finnish style. Recently there was a big old environmental protest in Helsinki, organized by Alokapina, which basically means rebellion against extinction. Pretty self-explanatory, right? They're all about raising awareness about climate change and pushing for action. And you know what? These weren't your typical tree-hugging hippies. No offense to any tree-hugging hippies out there. We had students, we had grandparents, we even had dogs with protest signs. Okay, maybe the dogs didn't make the signs themselves, but you get the point. The point is, this was a prime example of how people in Finland, regardless of their background, are getting involved in issues that matter to them. And that includes you, my immigrant friends. You have a voice, you have a stake in this country's future, and you have every right to make that voice heard. So whether it's climate change, social justice, or anything in between, don't be afraid to stand up, speak out, and join the chorus of voices demanding change, because in a democracy, silence is not golden, my friends, it's just silent. All right, this next topic, it's a tough one, but we got to talk about it. There were recently some racially motivated stabbings in Oulu, and it's a stark reminder that racism, xenophobia, it exists everywhere, even in a country as progressive as Finland. Now, I don't want to sugarcoat it. These attacks were horrifying. They were senseless, and they have no place in our society. But what I do want to emphasize is the importance of unity, of standing together against this kind of hatred. To my immigrant brothers and sisters, I know this can be especially frightening. You might be feeling vulnerable, you might be feeling angry, and that's okay, but please don't let fear isolate you. Reach out to your communities, to organizations like the Finnish League for Human Rights. They're there to support you, to offer advice and to fight for your rights. And to everyone else, this is a call to action. We need to stand up against racism in all its forms, challenge prejudice wherever we see it, and create a society where everyone feels safe and welcome. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together, right? And finally, let's talk about the new kid on the block, the new president of Finland, Alexander Stubb. Now, I know what you're thinking. Another president, another suit, what's the big deal? Well, every new leader brings their own style, their own priorities, and their own vision for the country. And with Stubb at the helm, there's a lot of speculation about what this means for Finland's future, especially when it comes to immigration. Stubb has been known to be a bit more, shall we say, cautious when it comes to immigration. He's all about controlled immigration, making sure Finland's economy can handle it, that kind of thing. But hey, it's still early days. We'll have to wait and see what policies he actually implements. The important thing is to stay informed, engage with the political process, and make your voices heard. Because remember, you're not just spectators in this democracy, you're active participants. So let's get involved. So there you have it, folks. Your weekly dose of Finnish news, tailored specifically for those of you brave enough to call this beautiful, sometimes confusing, always interesting country your home. What did you think of all that? Did I miss anything juicy? Head down to the comments section and let me know your thoughts. And while you're there, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss out on future updates. Remember, knowledge is power, especially when you're navigating life in a new land. We talked about the Social Democrats' rise in the polls, the importance of staying safe after the Tampere incident, the magic of the Northern Lights, the challenges of the new immigration law, the power of activism, the fight against racism, and the dawn of a new presidential era. Whew! That's a lot to unpack, but hey, that's life in Finland for you. Always changing, always challenging, always keeping you on your toes. And remember, if you're ever feeling lost, confused, or just need someone to talk to, there are resources available to help you. Don't be afraid to reach out, because at the end of the day, we're all in this together. Until next time, stay informed, stay connected, and most importantly, stay strong.